I'm Scott Hartley, President and CEO of Calibre Computer Solutions, and wanted to do something a little bit different here. Not too often do we have opportunities like this where some of our clients get to experience or participate in some really exciting activities. And so I've got here today with me one of my clients, Caleb Smith, and he's got an opportunity to participate in the 2016 Olympics in Rio, and hopefully going to be on the American wrestling team for that. And so I wanted to take this opportunity just to kind of do something different, kind of get a little bit of background and see what's going on and how you actually go from small town America, Princeton, Patoka, Indiana, to the grand stage of the Olympic wrestling realm. So thanks, Caleb, for coming in this evening.
My pleasure.
Just kind of give us, starting off with, I know that you've got a background in wrestling. Throughout high school and everything. How did you get started in wrestling? How long have you been in it?
I've been wrestling for 15 years now. What first got me started was the Princeton Elementary League, and they brought sign-up sheets around every classroom. And when I was in first grade, and I brought the sheet home and asked Mom and Dad if I could wrestle, and they said yeah, and well, then it took off from there.
Right.
To where we are now.
Okay. And so you started off in elementary school and wrestled all the way through high school then?
Yes.
Okay. And then you also had some college wrestling experience as well, is that right?
Right. It wasn't with the NCAA doing the American folk style. It was actually a Greco college.
Okay.
At the United States Olympic Education Center.
Okay.
Marquette,
and that's
Michigan.
Marquette, okay.
Yeah.
Cool, good deal. And so kind of thinking back in the 15 years of wrestling, what would you say has been your most exciting moment that you've had?
Well, along the way there's been, winning a tournament as a little kid for the first time, or winning the city elementary championships for my first and only time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd have to say it was this past year when I finally won a national tournament as a FILA junior in Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay.
I'd always come up short on either placing All-American or winning the tournament, and I finally broke through and won a big tournament, and so it was really exciting.
Right. Cool deal. All right. Now, hopefully you haven't had anything, as drastic. I know probably, a couple months ago that they had on the national news where the wrestler was down on the mat and the lights came crashing down onto him. Hopefully you haven't had anything that bad happen, but what would you say is probably the worst or the most memorable worst moment that you've had in your wrestling career?
I've been lucky so far. I haven't had any major injuries, just a separated shoulder or two, but other than that, the worst part I've had is maybe some losses that really cut deep. Like this last year at the FILA Junior World Team Trials, I lost in the finals, so I didn't get to represent the U.S. at the Junior Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just luckily no injuries have been the worst part. It's just been losses that I wish I could have back, but
right.
I've learned from each one, and it's made me a better wrestler, I think.
Right. Okay. So over the 15 years, obviously, you've got a passion for wrestling, continuing to do that. What really kind of set your sights on participating in the 2016 Olympics?
Honestly, I can't remember what it was that made me decide to, but I was in 3rd or 5th grade, and the Olympics might have been on, or there's something that involved it, and I told my dad I wanted to do that one day. I wanted to win an Olympic gold medal. Mm-hmm. And so, that early age, I decided that's what I wanted to do, and of course he told me I'd have to make some big sacrifices.
Big changes, yeah.
Been a lot of sacrifices with, going out with friends or just doing what it takes to what's going to help me, and maybe not always choosing the fun route, choosing what's going to help. So.
Yeah, because going to the Olympics, it's not just something you can think about and then the next day be there and actually participate.
Right.
So what would you say is, like here recently, when did you really decide that, okay, 2016 is the year that I'm going to do this?
It was in between my sophomore and junior year. We were at the Central Regionals, which is a youth high school tournament, and I was wrestling. It was in the Greco tournament, and I was wrestling a guy who'd been won nationals through all the age group levels, and it was the first time I wrestled one of those top guys in a tough match, and realized, hey, I can wrestle with these guys, and it just sparked something inside me to pursue Greco, and I can do this in 2016.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then at that point, that's when you really decided, okay, this is it, and going to make the sacrifices and the commitment to really, make that happen then.
Right.
Okay. Obviously, I'm sure that a lot of, my clients as well as myself don't have any idea of what it takes to really, travel that road to get ready for the Olympic, any type of sport in the Olympics. So kind of describe to us the process that you have to go through of training, competing, qualifying. What does it take to get from here to there?
As far as the training, wrestlers, we hit everything you can think of as far as training. We're running, lifting, wrestling. It's all around everything you got to do training wise to get to that goal. And then as far as the qualifying process, what I would need to do in 2016 is you have to qualify for the Olympic trials first, either at nationals or an international tournament, or at Worlds the previous year. And once you're at the Olympic trials, then of course you have to win that tournament. And but for my weight to actually wrestle in the Olympics that year, there's certain Olympic qualifying tournaments that countries send all their weight classes to and try to get the weights qualified by placing, I think it's top 3 in most of the tournaments. Some of them were first, I think, but yeah, you have to get the weight qualified, then worry about making the team. So.
Okay. So like in these years now, 2012 you started on this last year, and then you're going through this year as well. So between now and 2016, basically what you're doing is just the prep work and just kind of really doing more in-depth training and kind of maybe competing with some of the ones that may potentially also be on the team, or?
Yeah, really it's, year to year, every year there is a World Championships, and it's not the Olympics, but it's,
pretty close.
It's that big.
Right.
And so, every year that's the goal, is to make the team to wrestle there, and then eventually, win a medal or win a World Championship. So, really it's kind of like the Olympics are every year.
Right.
But then once you get to Olympic year, of course, you have that hype of,
really making that
Olympics,
team. Yeah. Now, how many people from America actually will they choose to be on the Olympic team to compete?
There's 7 men's Greco weight classes, so if we get all weights qualified in 2016, there'll be 7 U.S. guys wrestling in Rio. Okay.
What weight class are you looking at competing in?
Well, we go by kilograms in the Olympic styles, and I'm 74 kilos, which is 163 pounds.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be something I couldn't do. Transfer pounds to kilos, so I have to have a cheat sheet for that one. So you've already talked a little bit about, the physical requirements, a lot of training. Pretty much you're probably spending, every day in the gym, out at Elite Fitness. I know that's where you train. You've got, some other trainings and everything that you're doing as well. What about the mental preparation? Because really, they say that anything in life that you're really choosing to do, most of it is mental as opposed to the physical aspect. So what are you doing to prepare yourself mentally for such a big game as the Olympics?
It's just a lot of times visualizing, and with me being here training and not having an actual coach, it's a lot of I gotta be mentally strong, because there's not always someone there to push me through something.
Right.
So I have to be able to push myself through that, and the mental game. Yeah, it's every bit as big of a part as the physical part when it comes. If you're not mentally ready to step on the mat, then all that physical training that's probably going to go to waste.
Right. So you mentioned something that, visualization. So you're actually visualizing, yourself in the match, in the competition, and then actually winning.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because, I've read the autobiography written by Apollo Ono, whenever he won the skating, gold. And I forget what year Olympics that it was, but he actually mentioned that part of his training was to sit up in the stands before, a competition and really visualize himself, from beginning to end of that entire race.
Right.
And, that really does make a huge difference. And so, I think we can extrapolate that, and I'm kind of going into my master plan thing now, is that, master plan for success, one of the things that we do have to do is actually visualize, where the end is and see us being successful in that, because that can really make the difference between, failure and success, or achieving what we want to accomplish. So I think that's huge. Now I know you spent some time out in Colorado, I believe it is, at the Olympic Training Center.
Yeah.
Kind of describe what goes on out there, what the purpose of that is, and
I mean, while I'm out there, the Olympic Training Center, it's really a cool place, because you're in the complex, and you don't have everybody there's, no matter what sport they're doing, they're there for the same purpose, So I mean, there's not as many distractions, they have the nutrition there,
the healthy food, and not all the temptations.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just really an awesome place. And also, while I'm out there, what I'm going to in April to train with is Keith Zaracki. He's turned into my coach over the last few years. And so I'll be training with him, and then the WCAP, which is the World Class Athlete Program. It's the Army's wrestling team.
Oh, okay.
I've become friends with them, and they have a lot of the top guys in the U.S., so I'll be spending some time with them also.
Okay. Good deal. And so you've also recently just completed a trip over to Hungary. Kind of tell us about what you did over there.
Well, we had a 2-week training camp, and there was about 10 countries there. So, I mean, from Europe, Africa, Asia, and there was, I think in my weight, there was probably between 3 and 5 Olympians and Olympic medalists there. So, I mean, I was getting to train with the best guys,
Right.
Get my foot in the door with them. And so I took a lot from that camp, and I'd definitely like to go back, because it was a great opportunity. And
these may be some future competitors,
in
the Olympics or even the Worlds, even so.
This year, in 4 years, so.
Right.
And in the tournament, we had a really tough weight class. Lots of Olympians, Olympic medalists, world medalists. And I lost the first round to Georgia's #1 guy, but I mean, just being there, and this was my first time at a senior international tournament out of the U.S. So it was just a huge eye opener.
Right.
Getting to see this caliber finally,
and being able to actually compete, with people in those classes.
Right.
So is this, was this part of how did you learn about this opportunity? Was it something that you just heard of, that you could just participate in, or did you actually have to qualify to be able to go? Or
well, once you're on this wrestling circuit for so long, and the coaches get to know you, they'll tell you about, we're going to send a team to Hungary for a training camp and a tournament, and so we had the option to go, so I chose to go to it because the training camp. And
right.
So really the coaches just keep in contact with you and let you know what else is available. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned that you don't really have a coach per se, that you're working with right now. Obviously, when you go out to Colorado and different places like that, you are working with some coaches. Do most of the Olympic aspiring athletes, do they have coaches that they're working with, or are most of them like you, where it's kind of the self-motivation, the self-training? Or
yeah, well, most of them, they are. They're either at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado or U.S.A. in Marquette, and then there's also a few other training sites around the country, and everybody's they pretty well have a coach. So I'm kind of in a unique situation. I'm one of the few that's just on my own, really, at least that I know of. So
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like being able to go out to the Olympic Training Center, is that an invite only, or can anybody that wants to participate or kind of assume that they're going to compete in the Olympics, can they go out there? Or?
I think so. I think you'd probably have to go to a tournament and do so. Just catch the coach's eyes, But I mean, I've been around it enough that where I'm with the coaches, I can just ask, hey, can I come? It's all right if I come train for 2 weeks, and it's fine. So it's not really too much of a deal to travel out there now.
Yeah. So as long as you've been in wrestling, you've kind of got those contacts and those connections, so that makes it easier. So right now you're attending VU, a full-time student. So what's kind of the challenge there of, obviously going to Hungary for, a couple weeks and, the Olympic Training Center. What's the challenge of staying up with schoolwork and things like that?
It's challenging at times, but I'm really lucky at Vincennes that my advisor, Susan Brocksmith, she goes out of her way a lot to, whenever I talk to teachers, she'll talk to him also and say, hey, he'll get the work done if you let him go miss 2 weeks for a tournament. And then the teachers, of course, I've had they've all worked really well with me. So I'm just I'm lucky I have the teachers I have. That they'll work with me so I can do this. And
then you can get the work done, and some of it you can take with you and work on it in your downtime.
Yeah.
Now after most of us have probably heard that the International Olympic Committee has decided that, for whatever reason in 2012, that wrestling isn't considered going to be one of the core 25 sports of the Olympics, which in my mind is kind of ridiculous because wrestling is one of the original sports of the Olympics, originating in Rome. So despite that, and I'll let you answer that question, what are your thoughts on that? I think I know, but what do you plan to do after 2016? The Olympics. They decided that they're going to do away with wrestling as an Olympic sport. Are you looking at pursuing some type of career as in wrestling as a coach, or what's kind of?
My plan is to return to our farm here in Patoka, and I'm going to stay involved in wrestling. Definitely, I'm probably going to be helping out with the Princeton High School, and I'd like to maybe start a club for freestyle and Greco, and just whenever high school is not going on, so kids have a place they can come to and train. And if not, at least if I don't have my own club, at least working through the high school, where kids have a coach, they have anywhere from around the area they can come and train. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely stay involved and give back.
And definitely having the experience that you've got, of participating, across the world, really, with some top wrestlers, like you mentioned, the #1 wrestler of Georgia, having the dream and hopefully, being able to make the Olympic team, that could be huge to, the younger kids that started out, just like you did in elementary school, giving them the hope that, hey, I can do this, one day as well. And even if, the Olympics decide that they never want to bring wrestling back, there's still the Worlds and other championships. So kind of going back to that question, what are your thoughts on the International Olympic Committee's decision?
I think it's a really poor decision on the IOC's choice. I mean, I don't necessarily, I can guess what their motives are, but I can't really say for sure. But it was definitely a poor decision in my opinion, and it's already caused a huge uproar in not just the wrestling community, but I've seen athletes on Facebook and Twitter and on the news in other Olympic sports supporting wrestling, and they've really opened up a big can of worms, I feel like. And so
that's the guy with the wrong crowd. You get a bunch of wrestlers mad at you. probably not a real smart decision, but
the wrestling in a lot of the European and Asian countries and places like that, wrestling's their football and their basketball. That's their national sport. And so it's
not to have a national stage on which to play it. Is huge.
And another reason I really think it's a poor decision is because you look at countries like Georgia or some of the countries in Africa that were at the tournament. I was there. They've wrestled in the Olympics, and they only need a singlet and a pair of shoes. So it's a sport where you don't have to have the best facilities or access to money to
participate.
To succeed in.
So kind of thinking back through, your wrestling career and everything, who would you say that are maybe the top 2 or 3 people that have really influenced you the most, to get to where you're at today?
Oh, well, I don't know if
it's hard to narrow it down,
narrow it down to 2 or 3, but definitely my mom and dad are, they're top. They've been there the whole time, and along the way they've seen me at my best and seen me at my worst, and so I mean, definitely they're at the top. And,
right.
And then some coaches like Keith Strachey I mentioned, and he's really helped me turn the corner in the last 2 years and start catching up with these top guys. And Mike Haggerty, he's out of Missouri. He's through high school. He was a key in helping me, grow as a wrestler. And
right.
And coaches here in Princeton like Clay Leak and Steve Livingston, those guys. I mean, Clay still is. He's my main partner here.
Right.
So I mean, there's been a lot of influential people.
Right.
I probably forget a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. And I know your dad, in the work barn that you've got out there, he's got a place, that if you've got, some other wrestling friends, that want to come over, you've got a place to actually, work out, wrestle, and, a place for them to stay. So, huge support there.
Yeah.
Kind of in closing, one of the things that obviously, we kind of touched on a little bit already is that, number one, you don't really have a coach per se, whereas a lot of other people may have, that type of thing. Being able to compete and, the worlds and national competitions, going to the Olympic Training Center, being able to go, overseas to Hungary or different places like that. It all really boils down to, financial means to be able to do that. And of course, any endeavor, unfortunately, does require a significant amount of money, and especially the journey there. And there's no guarantee that, there's going to be, that pot of gold at the end.
Right.
But, what are some specific ways that, people who are interested, can help you out? Because I'm sure that, there's probably some type of, restrictions and stuff, heading up to Olympics. But, what are some specific ways that people can, help support you as you make this journey to hopefully the 2016 Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, like travel expenses, and then just having partners to wrestle with, and a big thing that helps too is, I'll be out in the community and they've read in the paper or something, and they'll ask me how it's going, and say that I saw you did this or that, and that's kind of a support to me. I mean, so there's a lot of ways to help, and yeah.
Okay. So. Well, I would like to encourage, all of our clients. I mean, we've got a really good community here in a lot of different ways, but I know we've got a great client base. This is really a unique opportunity. I mean, whenever I first learned, that Caleb was going to, compete in the 2016 Olympics, that, it's like, wow, this is a really cool opportunity, an opportunity to really support somebody, really get behind him, and, hopefully see you out there, on the world stage, in 4 years. I know it's hard to ask, for financial support and everything, but I would really encourage, anybody that's out there that, is watching this and is thinking about it and wanting to make a difference, to really consider, some type of financial support, even if it's $1, $5, $10, or, $1,000 if somebody wanted to do that, that could go to, great use, as far as travel expenses, maybe being able, especially as time gets closer to the Olympics, being able to secure the services of a coach, to help you perfect your skills and really get honed in for the Olympics. I encourage people to do that. My plan is, especially as time to go on, is I want to do something official as a company, Calibre Computer Solutions, to help support you, especially as you get closer to the 2016 Olympic time frame there. So I really encourage and challenge you to do that. If you have questions on how to do it, give us a call here at the office and talk to Robert or I, and we can definitely get you the information that you need if you're interested in supporting Caleb in this journey. Just kind of one last thing. I'm sure you got it counted down here. How many days until the Olympics?
1,240 after the day's over.
1,240. So not too far off. It sounds like a long ways, but it'll be here before you know it. I mean, it's hard to believe we're already in March, you know, of this year. So, but well, Caleb, thanks for coming by this evening and answering some questions. And again, you know, this is a unique opportunity. I think it's really interesting that, you know, we've got somebody in our community that may end up on the world stage at the 2016 Rio Olympics, and encourage you to support Caleb. You know, write letters if you've seen him out and about. You know, just tell him verbally of your support, and if you have the opportunity and the means to do it financially, I know that that would be welcomed as well. So, Scott Hartley with Calibre Computer Solutions, and we're here for all of your computer needs. You can give us a call at 386-8919, or you can visit our website, calibreforhome.com.